gentlemen, you are here. The Eric Zane Show podcast is underway. Sorry about the late start. As I sat down here, Daisy, gosh, I keep doing that. Darla was attacking Bruce, and I was like, okay, come on now. So she's in the other room. We may see her again a little later. It just depends. See, Diana's here and whatever. Boring stuff. So, my God. Yesterday was an absolute, wow, I felt like some type of adventurer because it started out as, hey, Diana, do you want to go on a walk with me? Why, yes, I do. That sounds like fun. Okay, let's do it. And we went over to this fantastic place not far from here. And I guess recently they had just, like, it's this one park called Grand Ravines or something like that. Or I don't know, something grand. Everything here is grand. And we've walked it before. So I'm like, yeah, I got to close my fitness ring or my move ring on my phone. Now I'm looking at it and I go, I don't know if we have the time or the strength to close this, because usually I like to break it up a little bit during the day, you know? So I don't know if we'll be able to get it all in. Whatever. Let's go for a walk, you know, hold hands like old people do and look at nature. And this place is great. You know, it's loaded with nature. I'll say this. I'm discovering that when I see like any type of woods, it reminds me. Can you hang on for just a second? Bruce, stop licking your goddamn paws. Jesus, I hate that. Whenever I see like woods or whatever, anything that looks like ravines and rivers and shit, it is so calming to me. It reminds me of up north. And as soon as, like, I've got a little dog kennel in the back of the house, and it's got like trees, and it reminds me of that. And it's like the second I get in there, the serenity that I experience when I'm surrounded by that, it's like this is something that happens to you when you get over 50 years old. You're just so that's something that is fun for the old fuckers like me. You know, everybody's like, well, what do you do when you go up north? Do you fish? No. Do you hunt? No. Oh, I don't know. What the fuck do you do there? You got to ride side-by-sides. There's great trails up there. How about snowmobiles? Motorcycles? Four-wheeling? No. What do you do? I make food over a fire and pick up sticks and throw them on the fire for like days in a row. And then I'll rake some leaves and I'll cut some logs. I actually kind of hate it when people go up there with me. Not because of their company. I like their company. I love that part of it. But I always feel like they're bored because there's nothing to do. Queen of the Forest and I go up there, and she just sits and reads books. Like what a book a day. Jodi Picoult, done. Another Jodi Picoult book, done. You ever hear that author, Jodi Picoult? Picoult. I read one of her books called The Pact. Pact. The Pact. And it was outstanding. But this lady, Jodi Picoult, writes a new book like every other week. They're incredible. Fantastic author. And everybody reads these books. So by the time we get done with the weekend, Diana's surrounded by stacks of Jodi Picoult books. And I'm just walking around picking up sticks like an asshole. So we take our walk yesterday. There's a dog park, and I see a guy who's got some dog that he's trained, and it was fantastic because he has like these frisbees. He's like fabric frisbees that it doesn't hurt the dog when she catches it, because sometimes a dog can fuck their teeth up. But this guy has his dog. It was fantastic because he has the Frisbee and the dog's just sitting there by its side. And then he says a word. And then the dog just takes off and starts running around him in a large circle fast. This is the type of dog that you see in those videos where they herd sheep. And they're really good at it, it's just instinct. Well, I don't know if he's training it for that or something to respond to calls, but then you hear the guy very subtly go, sit, or lay, or down. It was down. And then the dog immediately lays down and is just looking at him with its head on the ground, looking at the guy, and then he would throw the Frisbee, and the dog would take off like a bat out of hell. It was fantastic. I was like, oh, my God, look at the skill. That is an art form. When you can communicate with a dog that way, it's like the neatest fucking thing. Like, what a great walk. We're off to a great start. We make our way through. We go over this nice suspension pedestrian bridge. And, I'm like, I'm hearing John Denver songs as we're walking. And the plan is to walk throughout this park. Now, as we go, we come across about 100 yards up this trail a photographer, and she's got her camera aimed straight up in the trees. And as I approach, Diane and I go, well, what's she looking at? I said, it's got to be some type of aviary, some bird. She's bird watching and getting images. This is what she saw and what I took with my fucking iPhone. These bald eagles. I was kind of impressed. I mean, this was they were about 100 feet up, and I was, the ability for the iPhone to zoom in that far, it's grainy as shit, but whatever. Look at these two beautiful. I've seen bald eagles before in this area. It might be one of these two, in fact. I know this is a pair that have been there for some time. And then this is a better picture. So that was just sweet. I was doing some reading when I got home about the number of bald eagles. They are no longer endangered or threatened in any way. There was a period of time when they were, and that had to do with way back. Farmers would shoot them. They'd go and fucking hunt eagle. Hey, what are you hunting for? Pheasant? No, eagle. Because they would do so much damage to various livestock, young creatures like sheep and goats and stuff like that. Maybe even a baby cow. Eagle come in and fuck it up. So they just shoot the fuckers. Then there was the, what was that, DDT, that pesticide that farmers were using, and it flooded the rivers, and then that affected the fish, the food. It fucked up the food chain. And then the eagles would eat the fish, and then the eagles would lay eggs, and the shells were all fucked up, and the shells would break, or the eagles they just wouldn't survive. So I think in this country, we were down to 450 mating pairs of eagles. There were so few eagles in the United States during the late 60s, and then they turned it around, and since then it's been thriving. So now it's like they're everywhere. They're fucking cool to see, though. Excuse me. Should have warned you. I was going to drink this coffee. I got to drink this coffee. Stand by. Okay. Now we're good. Excuse me. So I get the pics of these eagles, and then one of them takes off, and I'm seeing it flying, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm hearing a Bob Seger song in my head as it flies majestically. And then there were other photographers there who were taking pics. It's sweet. I got to go to this place more often. I tell you what, I just had an excellent old man time. But then we were walking, and the Queen of the Forest and I are engaged in conversation, so that's always nice, And we wanted to, go up another trail at some point that we're familiar with, and I guess we missed it. And the trail that we were on was paved, and they had recently completed it, connecting this park that we were in to another park separated by a trail with private property at either side of the trail. And we don't recognize it. I'm like, where are we? Well, I don't know. And we went for like 1 mile and a half past where we needed to go. We're like lost. So we went all the way to this separate park. And I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. It's a damn good thing though, because we were going to turn around and go back, but we ended up going all the way to the other park. And it's a damn good thing because they had a toilet there. And your old pal EZ, man, it was rough. Holy shit. Thank God. In fact, I still have the toilet paper in my pocket. After I was able to take care of business, I was like, okay, now we got to walk back. I'm bringing this with me, this toilet paper, in case I have to duck into the woods to do another classic Eric Zane shit in public procedure. My God. Sir Bob says, last tubing trip down the river, we went past an eagle's nest. Started following us. It dove down and grabbed a hot dog that was floating in the water. Yeah, they are majestic beasts. Very, very cool. So we went way out of our way, and then I'm walking back, and then we fucking hit my move goal. I closed my move ring, so we put in 5 miles. This is a 5-mile walk. Now, thank God, here where we are, it's flat as a pancake, so no big deal. But my knee was starting to get a little wonky at the end of that fucking thing, and thank God I'm getting that thing checked today. Man, it is just a cracky, swollen mess. I sat here after I got done doing that deal and iced it and made another episode of Not the Best of the Eric Zane Show podcast for you to check out while I'm gone. Again, if you don't know, today is the 27th of June. The 28th, it'll be a regular day. And then Thursday, Friday, 29 and 30, not regular days. You'll have some not the best of material on Thursday and Friday that you haven't heard before. And then Patreon as well. I've got some really old stuff that I post on Patreon for Thursday, Friday of this week, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So that is 5 days. You'll have nothing fresh from your old pal EZ. However, follow me on Facebook, Twitter. I'll be posting stuff on there from our trip to the urban jungle, NYC. I'm going to hang with E-Rock on Friday. The plan is, because he lives not far from where we're at in Jersey City, have a bite to eat with E-Rock, and then we're going to a place that it has, all they have is retro video games, like old shit. See, Kenny? Something you would love. You would love this, Kenny. It's called Barcade. And all they do is have old-ass video games. Now, to me, this is fun. I love places like that. Pinball especially. I love playing pinball. Not enough to put these toys in my house. This is something you do once every few years. But still, I figured you would appreciate that. And then we have 9/11 Museum. We have Statue of Liberty, Ellis Island, and then another day of just hiking around Central Park, Times Square, Go see where Yoko Ono lives, where John Lennon was shot. The Dakota, got to see that. We're going to reenact the murder of John Lennon. My son-in-law is going to be Mark David Chapman. He's got a copy of Double Fantasy, and I'm going to autograph it for him. And then I'm going to walk in, and he's going to assume the assassin stance and shoot me in the back, and I'm going to stumble through the Dakota. So stupid. Okay. So excited about that. Amanda says they won't let you in. What? Yeah, I know. No kidding. You tried to get into a luxury apartment building? Hey, I'm here to see Yoko. I can just imagine. There's probably your picture there. Do not let this woman near the building. Yeah, I know. I figured I just wanted to see it. She says, I asked the doorman about her. Oh, yeah. And they're like, yeah, go away. Go away. You know, she's like 90. All right. So that's what the plan is going to be. Amanda says she can't live there anymore because she's in a wheelchair and that place is not wheelchair friendly. You sound like a stalker. My God, you know a lot about her. That's impressive. When we got back to the house, though, after such a nice walk, you know, I'm downstairs and I'm putting ice packs on my knee. Doctor appointment today at 12:30. And I'm completely in a position where I can't do anything. And Bruce and Darla are wrestling. And I can tell Bruce is starting to get a boner. And this is not good. It's uncomfortable for him. And when he gets his giant rod, which happened the other day, but, you know, it doesn't go away that quickly. And then, you know, I mean, if you're a dude and you get all charged up and you're ready to put it to somebody and then he doesn't have any balls, but that would be very frustrating. And so I don't want that to happen. So I said, hey, to Diana, can you, I'm wrapping my knee. Can you separate them? And now when I said that, I meant any way possible. Get one in one room and another in another room. I go, I'm getting ready to go upstairs. And she goes, are you going to take Bruce upstairs? And I go, I will be. But for now, separate them. And then she stared at them. And he's still humping her. And so I said, how come I asked you to help me separate the dogs and you're staring at them? Now, that tone, it doesn't matter how right or wrong I am. I'm fucked. Why did I ask you to help me separate the dogs and you're staring at them? I said it just like that. And oh my God. You see, this is where the insanity takes over. A normal person like me would go, yeah, okay, and sorry, and then separate them. Diana doesn't do that. She looks at me like I'm fucking crazy and says, yell at me again. And I'm like, fuck's sake, just do it. For God, just help me. God damn it. And so then I get a text. Let's see. After a nice walk, you have lost all your Pooh Bear points. I don't even know if she's going to pick it up because she might still be laying down. Okay, let's check it out here. And then she quickly realized she was being stupid and silly.
Hello.
He still crashed. And she made up some excuse. And now it's like, forget the fact. Now I'm done wrapping my knee. I'll just take the dog now. All this time you spent fighting with me over the damn thing. Yep, been there. I feel for you, guy. Ashley says, did you say please? My mistake was, now what I should have said. No, I didn't. I should have said, hey, can you please do this? And like not, okay, I asked her the first time. That was nice. Can you help me? Yes. And then she stared at them. I said, look, I know, I mean, to me, there's no way I can do anything but say it like a snot, you know? After that moment where she just stares at the fucking dog, the code of husband handbook says you then have to sound condescending and annoyed. Okay? At that point, she's being annoying, and it's okay to say, I asked you to help me, and you're staring. That line right there, as snarky as that sounds, that is in the green zone in the husband handbook. The first exchange of, can you please help me separate the dogs? So, yes, I said please there. And then when she just stares, then it is, I'm now into a totally different realm where you can say, excuse me, I asked you to help and you're staring. I mean, she went full fucking Hot Wings on me. Bruce is still humping. I'm like, what? I just said it. I don't know what more I can do here. Do I need to do a cartwheel and start juggling to convince you that I need you to get Bruce away from Darla? Just separate them. That's all I got to do. Put one in the laundry room and the other one stays here. Take you 2 seconds. Maureen says my husband does that to me and it infuriates me. Well, I mean, I'm team Maureen's husband on this one. If the first thing is, hey, can you help me out? And then the Maureen/Diana just stares, then we got to drop that. We got to unload a little bit of snark on you. Not only to get it done, but to make us feel better. Because we're annoyed that our wives can't follow simple instructions or can't do a simple task that is more like a favor. Maureen says he goes straight to that in the beginning. Oh, come on now. Are you telling me that he'd be sitting there icing his knee and he wouldn't say, hey, can you do me a favor and separate them? He goes right to, that's rude. You can't do that. Kyle says, I think it's a spouse thing. Quote, you asked me for help and I see you need help, so I will act stupid and stare while you struggle. Fuck yes. Thank you, Kyle. You see, Kyle, I don't know what you are in the relationship because it's tricky with two dudes. One has to be more husbandly and one has to be more wifely. You may not use that nomenclature, but for ease in this discussion, I am. Are you me or are you Diana? And I'm just, because if you're me and you're actually the one, are you like, hey, I'm asking you to help and you see me struggle? Or are you like the one that actually does what Diana did? Just staring. I think you're more me. And your husband is more like Diana. It's so annoying. So after that exchange ends, and she goes, yell at me again. Which if you drop, yell at me again. If you drop that, it's like, well, or what? What, are you going to kick me in the balls? Are you going to shoot me? Are you going to leave? But I didn't go that route. I just kind of let it go. I went, yeah. I didn't say a word after she said, yell at me again. God damn. Kyle writes, it's both. Sometimes I ignore, stare because I don't understand what he's doing. Quote, you said you didn't want help, then get mad at me when I don't help. Chris in Buffalo says, my favorite is I'll be on the couch, got a beer, and then I'll come back to the couch, sit down, and my wife says, can you get me a beer? Brandis says yes to all those. Yeah, okay. So it's just kind of like a very fluid scenario where it's changing, and the dynamic could be interchangeable between spouse. So that happens. And then after she says I lost all the Pooh Bear points, I FaceTimed her from this room. She was downstairs. And she seemed very playful and silly. I think it was a case of moderate overreaction by your old pal EZ and severe overreaction by the Queen of the Forest. Yell at me again. I'm like, well, I wasn't yelling at you. I was annoyed with you. And I gave you a message to indicate such. That's called communication. Of course, if I'm annoyed with you and I give you a little snark and you receive it appropriately, that is successful communication. I have attempted right back at you to let you know that I'm not happy with standing and watching Bruce hump Darla. In a perfect world, it would have been like this. Hey, can you do that? And then she stands and stares. And then I say, hey, I totally need you to maybe get Bruce, and get ultra specific, corral Bruce, maybe usher him into the laundry room for just a minute or two while I put the finishing touches on icing my knee. And then ultimately I'll wrangle him up the steps. But right now they're really kind of jacked. All right. And Bruce wants to hump her and jizz on Darla's head. And we can't have that in the house. So could you, in a perfect world, I could do that. But it's so much easier to say, I asked you to help me, and you're staring at them. You see how much quicker that is? The trade-off is, for the brevity of me saying that, the message is received quickly, but she's then annoyed with me and goes, yell at me again. Ugh. Fuck it, man. Kyle says, but think how adorable Bruce Darla puppies would look. I can't say that I've ever seen an English-French mixture. That would be cute. But Bruce technically cannot, he's neutered. He can't create, but, he doesn't make sperm, but he still makes semen. Well, no, I take it back. He makes the fluid that would transport the sperm. But it's clear. There's no swimmers, but he can still batch. And that's who wants to scoop up or mop up dog jizz from their house? I mean, come on, man. It was awful. Yell at me again. Ugh. Adam says, follow BFZ, Big Fat Zane, for more marital advice. Sir Bob of Oliver, yell at me again. Proceeds to yell, why are you yelling at me? Stupid question, is Darla old enough to have puppies? No. And we're going to end up getting her spayed. People are like, oh, dude, come on, you got to breed her. Nah, I don't want to breed my dog. It's a pet. Say what again? Emmer effer? Pulp Fiction. Big Fraud Zane to Pooh Bear. Fine, I'll go podcast. Kenny writes, O'Neill might want to take care of the cleanup. LOL. He would. He would do that. That's so disgusting. Holy shit. All right. Word is starting to get around about Justin's podcast. Now, I've listened to the whole thing. And as I indicated, I'm formulating my thoughts about it. I'm letting a little time pass before we jump on this. Because first of all, I don't have time right now to review Justin's podcast. I'm too busy working ahead for our little trip. So upon returning from our trip, Ben and I will sit down and we will review Justin's podcast. As most of you know, I used to be on the Free Beer and Hot Wings show. When that ended, they eventually brought in this dude named Justin, who most people weren't fans. They were either indifferent or just flat out did not like him. He ends up going on to do a radio show in Chicago, and that dries up, and now he's podcasting. And, oh boy. D. Squarius Green, who is a terrific fan of our show, and he also listens to the old show. He posted on both Reddit platforms this thread. He wrote Justin's podcast. Wow, not good. The quote, "That's not your mom, that's your sister" story. Jesus Christ. Does he think anyone is dumb enough to believe that? And that's been the knock on Justin. The stories he tells may or may not be true. They are ridiculous. But that's not unheard of to have scenarios like what he describes happen. It's how he tells the story. It isn't so much the content of the story, it's how he's telling it that makes it ridiculous. And there's a lot of other criticisms I have about it, but I don't want to shoot my load here because a lot of my criticism I want to save for when I do Who Are These Justins, which will be an upcoming Patreon show in due time. Is this the same Justin who used to be on Free Beer and Hot Wings? What's the podcast called? I'll tell you. I want you to know. I want you to be able to listen to this. It's called No Please Podcast. He does a free show. He's done one free show. And then he also has a Patreon he'd like you to subscribe to. And he lets you know that quite a bit. Now, I'm not sure if what he posts on Patreon is eventually going to be made available to the free podcast. I'm not sure. I'm kind of doing the wait and see. Because I don't want to pay for it. But if he does end up not taking one of his some of his Patreon content and making it free, I'm actually going to subscribe so that I can get it, pull clips from it, and play it for you. Now, the one free episode that I have, there is enough there to do like 4 shows of Who Are These Justins. It's a target-rich environment. Episode number 2, he talks about his time on Free Beer and Hot Wings. He took a lot of questions. He did like an AMA where people wrote in questions ahead of time and he's answering them. I'm probably going to subscribe because I need to hear it. I need to hear what's going on there. I reached out to him and said, "Hey, you should be on my show. You should let me interview you. I want to interview you. I have some questions I have for you." And he won't respond. So I'm like, well, that's too bad for you, because if you did agree to have me interview you, I would have a more difficult time reviewing your show, because now I know who you are. We've spoken. There's a dialogue. I would be less inclined to want to rip you a new asshole. It's that whole thing. It's funny because I don't know him. But since you will not return my emails, I am going to rip you a new asshole. And there's no one better at this. There's a lot of things that I'm terrible at, but when it comes to doing this, clipping a show and reviewing it and ripping it, I'm the goddamn Cal Ripken of this. That's a bad example. All he was known for was playing a lot of games. I'm the Babe Ruth of clipping shows and ripping it a new asshole. Ashley says that episode 2 mentions free beer and hot wings. I'm not sure that she listened to it, but he mentions in the description that he talks about free beer and hot wings. In fact, let me pull up exactly what he says. I have no idea what went on with the free beer and hot wings show. All I know is that he was there. He was maligned quite a bit by the audience. And when he left, it was kind of an odd bit of circumstances. And then at one point, they did talk about him and make reference to him. Let's see. No, please. I'm struggling. No, please. Podcast Patreon. Aha. And he does a lot of, hey, I love you. I love you so much. It sounds very John Tesh-y. And he tries to give like, acts like he's giving like motivational advice, you know, shit like that. But it comes off as just kind of awkward. It's a bit of a struggle. Boy, speaking of struggling. Monday motivation is what he calls it. For the first time ever, I talk about leaving Q101. I answer your questions and spill a lot of tea. And then he also talks about free beer and hot wings and says that it's about forgiveness or something like that. And it's like, well, no one really knows what that means. So I'm anxious. Okay. I love drama. I am a sucker for drama. So I am going to get into this. What about having any old Joe on your show? My show? No. Joe is no. I'm not into Joe. Turtle Girl Michelle says he loves everybody, kind of like Kenny. Yeah, but Kenny, it's genuine. I feel it's whenever I hear Justin describe something from the moment, the 30 minutes that I listened to his free podcast, it sounded disingenuous. Something about it just rings hollow to me. I'm not buying it. He doesn't do a good enough job convincing me that he means anything, and he's not skilled enough to make me believe that his stories are true. Does that make sense? I guess I'm reviewing it. I guess I already shot my wad. No, there'll be plenty more to talk about. And on his first show, it's just him, and that's not that I have a problem with that. I mean, that's what I do. But what he did was he recorded, and then he posted it, and he over-edited it. There was a lot of over-editing. There's not a breath. There's not an there's not an It's kind of like just comments edited together. And if you don't do this for a living, you might not catch it, but it's really over edited, and it makes the listening seem unnatural because people don't talk that way. Rapid fire, thought, no breath. And the cherry on top of this pile of shit is the laughing. He'll say something, and then this absurd, over-the-top Joaquin Phoenix Joker laugh for something that he thinks is funny, or trying to cue us that we should be laughing at it. It's rough. It is really rough. young Adam Schwab sent me an email. He wrote observations of Justin's show. So this is what I wrote down as I was listening to Justin's podcast. This is the first time I've heard him since he abruptly left Free Beer and Hot Wings. I'm typing this as I'm listening, so hopefully this makes sense. In the intro, sacrificed his entire life for radio. He was married for the first year he was on Free Beer and Hot Wings. Then Mrs. Justin moved back to Washington. All right. Observation. He wrote, begging for sponsors. Well, I can understand that. This is a troubling time. He's concerned about his existence. His ego from being on a morning show in Chicago to doing a podcast was a step backwards. All right. Mansplaining Patreon. He won't give the juicy details on the free podcast, so this is the last time I will listen to this, he writes. At about the 7-minute, 30-second mark, he hints people who have disappeared will appear. Could he be hinting at a possible Joe Justin reunion? I seriously doubt that. I'm fairly sure that he is not a Team Joe member. He must be referring to someone from his Chicago days. A lot of, quote, fun stuff planned. He says that about 9,721 times. He talks about how his life changed on April 21 when he was let go. So he has a girlfriend who is either very rich or a meth head too, Adam writes. And they went on a road trip. They saw the world by going to Kentucky, Tennessee, and North Carolina. He rips on people from East Tennessee's looks and how they all carry guns at an outdoor swap meet. But he notices how they are all happy with their rotted teeth and selling their Happy Meal toys for food. Yeah, I heard this part too. It seemed like he was kind of punching down. Then he claims some kid had a mom/sister. He feels richer from this experience. I got out of that I feel richer from this experience because I saw how happy these people were when they were trying to buy garbage off tables. It was very condescending. And again, asked people to support Patreon at the 14-minute, 20-second mark. Claims people reached out to him to continue at least podcasting. Then Adam writes, because no radio station will ever hire him again. I can relate to that. Talks about the story about, then he went and did a news story. You know, how I do, I'll sometimes maybe talk about something and have some audio. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was the story that I covered about the Rhode Island councilman getting busted with a crack pipe in his hand while asleep in his car. He laughs when he tells us to imagine crackheads. Ugh. Then more laughs, which sounds like they are inserted manually. Yeah, I picked up on that too. It was edited way too much. He talks about a drop, which almost got him fired, but he won't play it. He kept saying, I'm going to save it for the Patreon. He doesn't, and then he was claiming, I don't have a drop machine, or this one's broken. Give me money so I can buy one. 1804, crack sandwich for lunch? Seriously? And getting weird vibes from a dude who smokes crack. Ask for support on Patreon so he can buy a new drop machine. He claims he dodged crackheads in his youth. He seemed to be on crack during his Free Beer and Hot Wings days. By the way, one of the audience members who reviewed the show does communicate with Justin. If this person says, go ahead, say my name in my chat, I'll be happy to reveal you. Maybe you don't want that. This person who has a text Justin from time to time said, hey, I just listened to your show. You sound like you're on crack. Justin finds now former councilman's story inspiring for the following reasons. 1, to not start smoking crack. 2, if something is wrong, don't let your brain convince you you are worthless or something. You can always grow. Yeah, he's always doing these one to grow on things. Then makes a stupid noise because he mentions his drop machine is broken for the 734th time and to support him on Patreon. Then he played voicemails from people. They were all chicks. It was rough, and then it ends. Adam says, I regret listening to this, but I hope his review observations provide some entertainment. I hope this review observations provide some entertainment. No, I think this was cathartic for you, Adam. I enjoyed reading what you wrote. That was more entertaining than the show. It was Ashley. Crazy Ashley. She says, who, me? She texted him, said, hey, yeah, I just heard it. And, she has a kind of like a jokey relationship with him and said, it sounds like you're on crack. Chris says, it sounds like someone who's been through the program, 12 steps. Yeah, I got that too. So there you go. Go ahead. No, please, wherever you download podcasts. And you can check out my man's podcast. So that will be part of a Who Are These Justin show on Patreon. Again, if you had just said, yeah, Eric Zane, I'll talk to you. Hell, I wouldn't mind. There's a lot of things that, I've experienced in nearly 5 years of doing this, best practices that I would be happy to share with you if you weren't a fucking retard. I mean, I don't know why you would have any problem with me. I don't have any problem with you. So if you happen to hear this, a little food for thought, you skinny little fucking twat. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker. But if you're not, well, bullshit. I'm going to fucking brutalize you. Ashley says, when I asked him about your show, he went dark. The first thing I would tell him is, no more over-editing. Just talk, you idiot. What the fuck? Radio people that try to podcast, that's a cardinal sin. That's not this format. You're supposed to have it's not supposed to be polished. This is not a radio show. Talk like a human does and then post it. My God. Kenny says, I wish you had that drop. I'm trying to help you, motherfucker. I do have it. It's on my drop machine. But I don't use the drop machine. People say, how come you don't use your drop machine? Because I'm talking. Occasionally, I can reach over here and hit one.
I'm a 50-year-old man doing what a 50-year-old man should.
Because I know it's right there. But the number one killer of momentum on any podcast, when you're alone, even with two people, it can be tough. You can't be fucking scrambling for a drop to throw it in. The best part of drops is the out of left field vibe that they're supposed. And if I'm doing it, it's not out of left field. Ultimately, it's the best to have, like, let's say Eric and Ben are having a conversation, and you have a third person who doesn't really talk, but use the fucking drops. It's nearly impossible with one, a little wonky with two, ideal with three. It's the only way that works. Trust me. So anyway, boy, for a guy who started this out with, I think I'm going to save what I want to say about Justin's show to a little bit later on. I just fucking talked about Justin's show, but I haven't shot my wad. There's so much to talk about in that show. Kyle says, like a Doan type person. No, Doan is a phone screener. Doan would sit there and pick up the phone and maybe get audio ready for a podcast. I'm talking about, if you are familiar with the Stern Show, Fred. You need a Fred. Fred is part of all of it and has to be like in the room. I guess it can be out of the room as long as he's, that's the one job. It's always sound, adding sound. If you're familiar with the Drew and Mike podcast, Brandon is the sound guy. You have to have a dedicated Fred Norris on there, who's an absolute wizard. I love Fred. All right. I wonder if the Queen of the Forest is up yet. I got to bring her in here. Don't even tell me. See, she had to get up at like 4:45 because it was a bad dog day.
Hello?
Boy, what a night for you.
Oh, my word.
First Benny at 4:45.
Yeah. First Benny.
He was pawing at the door, right?
Yes.
And then you let him out. What did he? And he went poo and pee.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's a good dog, by the way.
He is a good dog. And then it was pain in the ass Darla.
And that was at 5:45.
Yeah.
And then what did she do?
She had to go pee and poo.
Okay.
And then I put her in the cage so I could sleep a little bit more. And then your alarm went off 57 times. And then after you got up, I was just dozing back off, and Benny was back at the door scratching.
Come on.
Yeah. So I had to let him out again. And then I came upstairs, and then Darla decided it was playtime.
Yeah, she
and was
bit you.
barking, and she's barking. And then she thought Benny's tail was a toy. So she's laying on the bed, biting Benny's tail.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah, that's a puppy thing. Of course, she bit your nose and ripped your nose skin. Actually, one of the teeth hooked the inside of your nostril rim.
Yes.
So you have a rip on your nose.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Well, that's I'm sorry that happened, but the real reason why I'm calling was to break down yesterday's
Our little stroll.
Well, the stroll, I talked about that. That was amazing. Seeing the Eagles, getting lost.
A little couple mile walk turned into a 5-mile walk.
But then the big part of the show today, I was trying to wrap my knee in ice.
Mm.
And I said, and if you remember, I said, hey, please separate them because Bruce was humping. I didn't want a boner. It makes him uncomfortable. And then you just stared at him, and I go, hey. And then I said to you again, actually what I said was, I asked you to help me, and you're staring at them. And then you said, yell at me again. What the fuck?
Sorry.
Well, why? And then you said, yeah, you just lost all your Pooh Bear points.
Yeah, you did.
Well, why did you just stare at them?
Well, because they were calming down, and so I thought they were going to be okay until you went upstairs and took Bruce.
Come on,
That's
man.
Why.
No,
come on, man, me.
It's not. It doesn't work that way. He's going to get a big boner, and it's going to be uncomfortable for him.
Well,
and it's terrible. You see, seeing a dog dick is one of the most disconcerting things ever.
It is pretty gross.
Yeah, it's horrible. So, all right. That was weird, but it seems like we have it worked out. It was all your fault.
No, it was not. That is not the truth.
All right.
You were part cockhead.
All right. I'll talk to you later. I foresee a nap in your future.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Brandis says, I am Team Diana always.
Yay, see? I told you. They know. They know.
All right. What was that? What was that noise? What are you doing?
I took a sip of my coffee. I didn't mean for it to be that loud.
All right.
Sorry.
Oh, terrible. Okay, I'll talk to you.
Okay, I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Tyler says, oof. She called you a cockhead. She must have been mad. Oh, yeah. Holy crap. All right. If you've been enjoying the show on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, I'm about to kick you out. Facebook.com/Eric Zane fan page. Twitter @Eric Zane Show. Follow me on there. YouTube as well. Usually I only go about a half an hour on these platforms, and then I kick you out. But I was on a roll. The way I do it is the full show appears on Twitch. So I still have another 58 minutes of podcasting to do on Twitch. So if you want the rest of this show or future shows, kind of transition over to Twitch. Twitch.tv/Eric Zane Live, and then hit follow. That's all you do. Or download the Twitch app on your mobile device, and then all one word, Eric Zane Live. And then follow the page. There's two things once you get used to Twitch you need to do. Follow is the first one, so that when I go live, it says, hey, Eric Zane's live. And then the other thing is subscribe. A couple more hoops you have to jump through to subscribe. You can subscribe by linking up your Amazon Prime account, step one, if you have one. If you don't have an Amazon Prime account, you can pay $5.99 a month. I don't make that a real point of importance because I feel I ask you for enough money. Once you link, then each month you have to hit the subscribe button. Why you want to do this? If you don't, on Twitch, they will insert video commercials at horrible times, like a lot of them. And it's annoying because I might be in a great story and then it's fucked up because of the commercials. So best way for free is link up Amazon Prime. Doesn't cost you a dime. And I actually do get money when you do that. Amazon gets some of that, and I get some of that. I get 50% of that. So the $5.99, I would get half of it. Amazon gets the other half. If you pay $5.99, I don't know how much of that I get. It might be half. It might be all of it. I have no fucking idea. Or don't do anything. You don't have to. You can watch it for free. That's totally fine, just as long as you're there. Also, a way if you... Oops, sorry, O'Neill. If this free show just isn't enough and you want more podcasting, that's why I have the Patreon. You might be a driver. Maybe you're sitting at a cubicle the whole day and like, hey, I want to check this Patreon out. I want to hear, who are these free beers? Or who are these Justins? Or who are these Zanes? All of those are part of the Who Are These universe started by my pal Carl. Basically means you're clipping a show. When you clip a show, you listen to clips and you make jokes about them or roast them. So I do that to my own shows from back in the day when I was a young, fresh-faced broadcaster. I do it to current shows of Who Are These of Free Beer and Hot Wings because it is horrible and very easy to rip on. And then I'll be adding Who Are These Justins? Oh, my God, all on Patreon. We also have the Ben and Eric Patreon podcast on there, which we do weekly. And you can get it all for free on Patreon. So if you're getting this show right now for free, check Patreon out for free. patreon.com/Eric Zane. 7 days, it's all yours. And you can literally sign up, cancel it 30 seconds later, and still get the 7 days. If you're that concerned about it charging you. I don't care. Because ultimately, if you hear what I'm doing on Patreon, more often than not, people end up signing up. I'm just trying to get you in the door. Once you get there, I think you'll like it enough. I've had a terrific turnover of people who've done the trial and then ultimately end up staying with it. So thank you. Patreon.com/Eric Zane. Oh, God. Okay. That's all the bullshit work. I'm now going to kick you out.